Welcome back, everybody. So this is part 2 of our 3-part series with Steve, the trademark guy. So Steve is here to talk about trademarks for your business and the importance of it, and also what can happen if you don't secure your trademark. I think it's something that we'd all kind of get, especially when you're starting your business, get very excited about starting your business and forget about things that can be catastrophic later down the line. And it's not just about starting, and this is something I definitely didn't know, that you need to renew your trademark, so it's not yours forever. So I will hand over to you, the expert, to tell us more about it.
Okay, great to be back again, Sam. So yeah, as you said, some people don't realise that a trademark isn't actually for life. There's a 10-year cycle once you've got it approved, and 9.5 months after you've registered your initial mark, you get a prompt to ask to renew it. But there's lots of factors that can get in the way of a successful renewal. One real simple one is you may have changed your contact information. And if you've not been actively monitoring your trademark over that 10-year period, it could be that you moved registered address. It could be that if you use a third-party representative originally, that you've now stopped using their services and they haven't passed on the information. It could be that your email address has changed. It could be as simple as you just go into spam. All these things can get in the way of you being alerted or reminded that that renewal is up. So why would you renew it? Well, the difference between a renewed trademark and a new trademark is really the age of the trademark. So if you're renewing a trademark, you've got 10 years of legacy associated to it, which not only comes into importance when comparing somebody's right to another person's right to use a name. For example, if somebody starts a new trademark application and you've got an existing one there which is older, then obviously you've got the de facto position of ownership. But also it's a preventative mechanism as well. So somebody who's only just registered or is in the process of applying for a new trademark versus someone who's got that 10 years legacy, if there is a potential infringer out there who's acting unscrupulously, they probably feel a bit more emboldened to do it with somebody who's only got a new trademark application or an untrademarked brand versus somebody who's got 10 years worth of legacy with that original trademark. It just shows that there's a credibility there, there's an established brand there, and not to be messed around with, basically, because they know what they're doing. So those are important benefits. Also, the review process itself of going through renewal is quite important because most businesses aren't the same 10 years after they start. So even if you've done everything right at the start with the original trademark application, let's use the example of a mortgage broker. It could be somebody who starts just with reselling other people's mortgages from the big lenders. Then they may bring in their own lending, or they could add in insurance protection services, like life insurance, or they could end up going into lettings and sales as well. There's quite a bit of scope there. So if that's happened, then there's a couple of situations that you have to resolve. One is, do you renew the existing trademark as it is, and then just do a new trademark application for the other elements that you're not covered for? Because what's really frustrating for people is to realize that you can't add new services into a trademark once it's already been applied for. So that's one option you've got, is keep renew the existing trademark and then add another trademark. So you'll end up having two side by side, one for that service, one for that service. Or you could end up letting the original expire and just doing the application which covers all the services under one place. It really does make a difference how much of the original trademark is still relevant, because if it's very much the same, just maybe with one or two things that you need to tweak, then it's worth keeping that existing trademark renewed and just doing a new trademark to add in the extras if needs be.
So we've got one of our brokers that we deal with, and they have set up originally as one name, and then they've got all the different functions that they products that they work with. So, for example, I don't know, my surname's Colton, so Colton Finance, and then you'd have Colton Invoice Finance, Colton Asset Finance. So would I then need to trademark? So you'd have Colton Finance, and then I would need to trademark all the others that go underneath it for the different services. Is that
a great question? Not quite. So there's two things there. One is what the trademark actually is. So if it's Colton is a trademark, or is it Colton Finance? Now, with words that are descriptors of the services, they're actually ignored as part of the trademark process, because they're not. They're just marketing messages saying what the business does. The distinctive element, which would be your surname, Colton, in this instance, that's the bit that's unique and distinctive. That's the bit that people recognise. Within that, you would classify the services and list them. So it might be that on day one it was just one type of finance, and then a few years later it becomes other types of finance which aren't listed in the original application. There is where you'd need to then do a second trademark application to cover those services off. It's not so much what you'd read as the trademark itself, it's more what the services that lie beneath it are recorded as. So that's not necessarily relevant to a renewal. It's just more of a if your business develops and does additional services later down the line, then as soon as you start using those services, or preferably beforehand, you probably want to get them protected as well. So get that applied for.
Okay. And is there, so say I wanted a trading name and I couldn't have it because someone else has it, and then that business doesn't renew their trade. So again, I wanted Colton Financials, and 2 years ago there was somebody else called Colton Financials. Is there any way of me kind of checking whether that business name, trademark name, has come up and I can use it, or would they have to go to somebody like you for that, or how does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, the obvious one would be to, and this is for anybody who goes about their daily business looking at logos and brand names, is there an R mark next to it? Because first and foremost, people should be putting those R marks down if they have a registered mark, and once it's expired, they should remove it. But a lot of people don't. A lot of businesses don't even get around to doing that.
Is there repercussions on that if you don't remove it?
Yeah, you can be fined by the Intellectual Property Office for misadvertising. So people who put R marks on who haven't registered a mark could be fined if it's investigated. And as a side note, anybody who wants to get a trademark registered but hasn't got it yet, you should put a TM next to what you want to register, because that shows people that it's a pending mark or one with intention to be registered. A lot of people confuse the two of those as well. So TM beforehand, R afterwards. But yeah, so in terms of checking, again, it goes back to the IPO database to see what's actually there. It should be updated pretty quickly once a mark's expired, and 6 months after an expiry, the priority that is given to the existing trademark owner goes as well. So so after 6 months, it's fair game for anybody else to make an application for that identical trademark, but there's no recourse from the original owner.
Okay. And if somebody wants to renew, what do they need to do? Do they need to speak to somebody like yourself, or what's the process?
Again, you can renew directly with the IPO online. It's actually not that difficult a process. The bit you'd miss out on is the review process. So that's where someone like us, the Trademark Helpline, would go through a consultation, make sure that it's still fit for purpose, identify any gaps that have occurred since you've been trading, and try and plug those gaps to the new application alongside the renewal as well. So it's a kind of added value service again with ourselves. But yeah, you can do it directly with the IPO if you wanted to. It's just, again, not knowing if you're doing it right or not.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that was very informative as always. So if you are setting up a company, if you need to renew, Steve is the guy to speak to with regards to your trademark. You can find him on the directorschoice.com in the legal area of the platform. And I also know that Steve is very active on LinkedIn if you want to contact him through there as well. So thank you very much. And we will see you for the next one, which I believe is all about selling your business and having your trademark ready for that. Thank you.
Cheers, Sam.